Hello, welcome to Cartola FC English Game Week 2. My name is Sean. Let's get into it. Okay, so Game Week 2 valuation is unique. It's the only way the system works like this the whole season. So it's important to understand, but it's easy to gain value. It's unique. Um, what it does is it takes the average of the first two scores relative to the price of the player. Um, so what you want is players who valued a lot in Game Week 1 and scored a lot, but are also relatively cheap. And you do not want to go for players who devalued a lot, like Suarez. He missed the pen. Let's take a look at some of the players. So a good filter is the second one to see how much they valued. Obviously, these guys you want to avoid Suarez. And these are the guys we want to go for. These are the attacking players. For example, Shakari, Vitor Shakari, uh, his total price is only $9, but he did score over 10 last week. So the the average of last week's score and this week's score needs to be around 50% of the price to value, and if it's higher than that, they will value a lot. So Vitor Shakari is a good pick. Um, let's say he only scores 5 points this week. That'll bring his total to 15. Average at 7.5. That's still much higher than half of this price. Um, if we take a look at Luis Suarez, he only scored 1 point, but his price is pretty high, so he's an avoid for now. Later in the season, we will pick him, but this week we do not, as it is a good week to target players that will make us money. All right, so there were some midweek matches, Copa Libertadores and the Copa Sudamerica. Um, so that is important to keep in mind. Seems like Atletico Paranaense, uh, Flamengo, these teams prioritized their midweek matches. Um, so we do want to keep that in mind. But on the bright side, teams like Bragantino and Flamengo had very good performances, so that's a good sign for their form. Um, Pedro, for example, he scored a brace, almost had an assist that was rolled out by VAR. Bragantino won 5-0. Um, these teams we want to target later on, maybe not this week, um, but it is good to keep that in mind. Atletico Mineiro, second loss on the bounce. They were in good form, but form runs out quickly. So, all right. So last week's team attack XG, very small sample size, only 1 week. Fluminense 3 XG. That's very good. Um, and we do want to target them this week. Palmeiras also performed very well. Bragantino over 2 goals XG. Uh, let's take a look. On the other hand, the defense, Flamengo performed very well. Corinthians, Palmeiras did very well, but they. So matches this week, Game Week 2. Game Week 1 did have some good matchups that we did want to target. Um, Flamengo, Palmeiras had very good matchups at home. This week's a totally different story. There's not any kind of blowouts. You can see Fluminense is the biggest favorite, along with Sao Paulo. We will have the Fluminense lineup. That's the only game that we will know the lineup before the deadline. So Fluminense is probably the best team to target, um, but there aren't a lot of standout options. So we do want to go for players that will get us money, and those players valued last week, and they scored a lot of points last week. So we want to go after those players because the main goal this week is to make money for us to use throughout the season. Okay, so attacking tiers, lots of good options this week. I do have 5 players in my A tier: Endrick, Cano, Jacari, Lopez, and Caleri. Um, all of these players did well last week. Cano and Caleri are on the expensive side, so they might not be as good to value, especially Cano. He devalued a little bit last week. And then in the B tier are those expensive players that should perform well this week, but also probably won't make us money. And Pedro didn't even start last week. He did score off the bench, but that is a little bit of a risk. Flamengo prioritized their Copa Libertadores match over the week, so uh, let's see. I do want to captain an attacker, so that's why I do want to make space for either Cano or Pedro or maybe Caleri to captain. Um, but Jacari is a really good pick to make money. He's pretty much guaranteed to make you money this week, even if he only scores like 1 or 2 points, he'll still make you money. Endrick, good option as long as he starts. Lopez, good option for a strong Palmeiras team. They didn't really blow out Cuiabá, but they did. Both of those players did score and were good value picks last week. Also, good value picks this week. In the midfield, I have prioritized money making options: Fernandez for Bragantino and Ranielli. Ranielli? Ranielli? I can't say it. Ranielli. He he is pretty much guaranteed to make money. So if you do have enough room for the budget for Ranielli and Fernandez, I'd go with those players. Cristaldo is a more attacking option. One thing with Fernandez and Ranielli, they're a little more defensive, but they make a lot of tackles. Um, and they did perform really well last week. So pretty much guarantees to make you money. Cristaldo is going to be more attacking and still at a good price. On the B tier, if you had enough money for Eduardo, I don't really love that matchup, but he did perform well, should make money this week again. And then Lorato for Sao Paulo has a good matchup this week and is a cheaper option in the midfield. Center backs, uh, fortunately, both of my center backs scored last week, so that was a bit of luck. But Lemos conceded, they conceded 2 goals last week. Yeah, but Lemos scored. He performed really well as far as value and points, and that should carry over to this week. He's in my A tier. Fabricio Bruno on a good defense, good team, pretty good price, and should make money as well. If you needed some of the cheaper options, I'd go for one of the Sao Paulo guys. Very cheap and good matchup for them at home. Fullbacks, lots of good options. Lots of good options. Marcos Rocha for Palmeiras, very cheap still. Should make money. And then the Fluminense fullbacks, we will know that lineup. Those guys are really good picks. Alexander in particular, because he's so far attacking. He's out of position and pretty much is an attacking midfielder and at a really good price. I like that pick. Ayrton Lucas probably had the goal of the weekend for Flamengo. He is really expensive, but he did put up a lot of points last week, so that is a high upside option. With not a lot of risk because the game week 1 points do carry over. João Pedro also scored really well last week, but he only played 45, so a little bit of a rotation risk. That's the only reason why he's in the B tier. But yeah, he even if he scores a point, he should make money for you. Really good options at fullbacks. As far as the goalkeepers go, I really only see two. if you had enough room in the budget for Adriel, he scored really well last week with the clean sheet. Should make money this week. And Lucao is so cheap um, for a decent Bragantino side. I like that pick and really good value. Goalkeepers and managers don't really score a whole lot, so I usually go with the cheaper pick. So I'll probably end up going with Lucao. As far as the managers go, I don't really like these options. Um, but yeah, Paulo Tura did well last week, but they have a tough matchup this week. Um, Paiva for Bahia, they have a home matchup, and he's cheap. I'll probably end up going with him. Let's take a look at my team. Okay, so this is the team that I have so far this week. I do have the captain on Cano. He should perform, or he's probably the best player. And a lot of the other picks are really good picks to value again. So as you can see here, I did gain around 21 bucks. That's a really good value to attain in the first week. Game week two, along the same lines, you do want to value a lot, and you can use that budget for the rest of the season. Um, so yeah, this is my team. We will know the Fluminense lineup on Saturday. That's the first matchup of the week, um, and yeah, I do have a lot of value picks. Ranielli, Fernandez, Jacari, pretty much all guaranteed to make money. Lemos in defense, and then for my bench, I just have mostly Sao Paulo guys. So really cheap options, and they do have a good matchup this week. So yeah, that's my team. Thanks for watching. Give me a like, and I'll see you next week. Good luck.